Welcome back, everybody, to this episode of the Open Concept Podcast, where we are breaking down unnecessary walls and barriers that stand in the way of greatness. Guest today, Josh French, joining us from Kelowna, HS Masonry. I mentioned knocking down walls, but with HS Masonry, you are building some super, super solid walls, like real stone walls. And as a father of four, business owner, entrepreneur, investor, really happy to have you here, man. Welcome. Why don't you tell the listeners a little bit about you?
Brandon, well, thank you so much for having me. That's a great introduction. Yes, we're not in the mood for breaking stuff down, but building the best. So, absolutely. So, yes, my name's Josh. We're based here in Kelowna. We run a number of different things, but my main focus right now is my masonry enterprise. We do anything masonry, structural, veneers, precast, full bed, you name it, we do it. Restoration work, heritage work, we're all over it. So absolutely love it. Got a great team of guys. We're running anywhere from 16 to 20 men. Vast experiences, a lot of senior people, a lot of apprentices right now that we're trying to bring up and train, heavily involved in the training industry in our trade. So a lot of fun. So yeah, on a personal note, I'm married to my beautiful wife. We've been together 18 years. We've run many different ventures together. Thankfully, we've moved her out as much as we can now and have great people running that. Four amazing kids, ranges of 15, 14, 12, and 10. So a very busy household. So yeah, that's a brief overview of the life of Josh right now.
Masonry is, to some, I mean, being in the construction industry ourselves, I run a home building company, general contracting company. We do a lot of commercial stuff here too. But masonry is kind of a dying art. It has a long history as a trade. Like when I think of a tradesperson, that's where my head goes. Like I picture hammers, bricks, rocks,
Absolutely.
carving stuff out of the side of the mountain, and like this is what construction is about. This is where it all started, was building with stone and with brick and with masonry. But I do get a sense that there's just not as many people interested in that trade right now. And you said you're running a pretty extensive apprenticeship program, or moving apprentices.
100%.
How are you getting people really excited about heavy labor and really getting in there and getting dirty and building stuff that they can be proud of? Because I think it's such a cool trade.
That's like the $1 billion question on our industry right now. Nobody wants to work hard. No one
By
wants
the way,
to.
I'm only in the business of asking $1 billion questions, so I'm glad that right
I
out the
love
gate
it.
we're aligned.
I love it. So yeah, so I mean, one is it's a hard job. It is physically demanding. It's exhausting. It takes a very hard toll on your body. So trying to convince a guy, go, instead of being a YouTube star, why don't you come and lift 50-pound blocks all day and fill them up with cement and rebar? So yeah, it's a super hard sell. I think the biggest thing that we're trying to do is just show them the opportunities, where you can go, what you can do. Start your own gig. A lot of dollars and cents gets talked about on the get-go. I was just on a call before this one, and we're trying to design a pre-tender program before apprenticeship school, so we give them the training, the skill sets, the forklifts, the scaffolding, the mortar mixing, and then promising job placements for certain dollars and cents amounts. So just trying to be a little bit creative. How do we make this industry sexy? I don't know, right? So it's an ongoing battle. We've got a lot of good people involved in the industry who are working hard, marketing hard, and trying to push it, right? So it's kind of a tough one, but we're working on it.
We share the same common goal of making trades cool again.
Absolutely.
And the thing is too, is there are a lot more opportunities in construction and in trades for so many different people right now. But when people are thinking, they're thinking exactly what you described that role of the stonemason to be. They're thinking heavy labor, real dirty stuff, long
100%.
days working in the mud, working in the rain. And in this particular trade, that's really what you're getting.
Yeah,
But
100%.
in construction in general, there's so many different opportunities that you can move yourself into. But having a base trade and an understanding, so if you're interested in getting into construction management, having a base knowledge of a trade, whether it's going to be HVAC, electrical, framing a house, whether it's going to be stonemasonry, something along those lines, it's great to have some job site experience.
100%. And it's funny because I was chatting with a doctor friend or a dentist friend of mine, and he was telling me, oh, I had to pay $50,000 a year to go to school. And I just looked at him quite abrupt and said, well, that sucks. I said, my apprentices are making more than that a year to go to, we pay them to go to school. We give them the training they need. They get the job site experience, the hands-on training. And after 4 years, they're a certified trade with no debt versus, professional, not to bash professionals. We all need them once in a while, but it's a completely different style, right? You're coming out of school or even in school, you're able to go and get your, first level, second level. And then once you're out, you're working and getting paid. It's quite a way to go with, especially with the cost of living right now, right? So
Do you think there's a
it's a good idea.
You think there's a barrier there that's stopping people from getting into trades and going into a medical profession or something because they look down at trades as sort of maybe like a plan C or plan D if things don't work out for them, or why do you think people are less interested in trades? Do you think it's because there's more opportunity? Do you think it's because you were mentioning off camera here that you have, your body is a little beat up and you got some injuries, and we were talking about working out a
For
bit.
sure. Yeah, for sure.
Is that what they're seeing, or do you think that there's what's the barrier there?
I honestly think it's a stereotype. To be honest, the most wealthiest people I know in my circle group are all they're all trades people that have got in their trade. They've built their businesses, multiple businesses to, my one mentor, he's doing well over, serious hundreds and hundreds of millions a year, probably in the billions. And you know what? They started as laying materials, putting materials together, right? And so I think there's this stereotype that, oh, you become a tradesman, you're stuck as a trade building this. No, the opportunity is phenomenal. It's right. It's right there. And so yeah, I think people look down upon it and go, oh, you're just a mason, or you're just a plumber. Well, hang on a minute. That mason and plumber is earning a lot more money than that doctor or dentist or vet or lawyer, right? So it's an interesting concept I think people have. So it's readily
Plus,
available.
plus you're seeing like building stuff and construction trades makes for awesome TikTok videos, and so
You
people are
better
now
believe
getting
it.
like really excited about that. They're getting really excited for the opportunity to get in there just to film some of these videos. And I follow a lot of different accounts, and
Hundred
it's
percent.
it's pretty cool to see what people are building. And so there is a lot, like you said, there's a lot of opportunity there, far more
Big opportunities. Yeah.
than what people expect. When I was in high school, lost, had no idea what I was going to be doing. I got into construction pretty well right out of high school, pushing a broom as a laborer, got onto a big construction site. Had no idea what I was doing, but getting involved in a trade allowed me to save up money without debt, without going to school, and buy my first house at 22. I was the first person
Mhm.
out of my friend group, I think out of my whole high school graduating class. Don't quote me on that. I'm sure somebody will probably call me out for that. But in my mind, I was, and that opportunity was given to me through the construction industry.
100%. And same with my journey that I've been on. To share briefly about that. Um, Basically 13 years old, I was that kid at school that asked the question, why too much? And I didn't last. I was asked to leave school. I played a very, very high level of sport and was on that route to try and go professional.
What were you
I
doing?
was I played national tennis.
You played national
I know. I look at me now. I'm 250 pounds. I was 186 pounds soaking wet when I was 19. But
You're no
yes, that was
Djokovic
that was.
on camera here, but man, that's good. I could see that. You got the I could see you moving around the court pretty quick.
So that was my focus in life. I was playing sport. I didn't need anything else. I was already kicked out of school. I already was told I was stupid, right, by the teacher and the organization and the school system. Um, and then out of nowhere, we decided to emigrate to Canada.
From
So
where?
I was in England. So I came from the English system to the Canadian system, and we found out I had to go back and do 2 years of education. So I came back and started back into the Canadian side, found out this wonderful thing called the US has amazing sports scholarship program. Booyah, let's go. Um, and that was my goal. And I had started to frame houses when I was 18 years old. And before, it was just shortly after my 19th birthday, I was heading to the bar with some friends and as a passenger, and I ended up getting in a car crash. And I did some severe damage to my back and my neck. So my sports career ended that night, and I
Way
had
too
to
early.
I had to re kind of focus and re dial in where I'm going with things. And I ended up getting into construction. I married my wife at 19, very early, and we started a general contracting company and just did custom homes. We had no cash, so we did had custom and beg, borrow, and steal from the homeowner to get paid. We did a lot of barns, chicken and dairy barns, and then at 22, I have no masonry experience. I've actually never laid a brick or a block in my life. I'm not a brick tradesman by any means, a mason. So at 22, we purchased this company. That's a whole nother podcast story of what not to do when purchasing businesses, spend the finance, blah
We're
blah blah.
probably gonna get into that a little bit
Absolutely,
in this podcast.
yeah,
So we'll be on the next
absolutely.
one, but it'll be probably on this one.
So for that stereotype that you can't do anything as a tradesman, I'm not a tradesman. I've just grown, purchased contracting companies. I'm now 38, and we have a phenomenal life, and that's what this has provided for us. So there's definitely a stereotype, but I think the opportunity is endless. The earning amount is you can earn whatever you want to earn as long as you're willing to put the time and the risk in.
What did the company look like before you purchased it? And why did you purchase this company? What did that look like?
It's a lot smaller. Uh, Generationally, I think it was the third generation was running it. I have to be careful on my opinions on a certain thing because it wasn't the greatest deal. Looking back on it, was not the greatest deal that we did, but I made the decision based on the wisdom and knowledge I had at that time. So no regrets. That just
That's
right. That's
that's
what I
all
knew.
we can do. That's all
What
we
I
can
knew.
do.
So I think they were pushing anywhere. I think it came about 8 guys when we brought it. The owner was doing a lot of work, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, and that was 15 years ago. Um, and the learning curve was massive. The financial mistakes were huge. The knowledge and the skills I had to learn were either you make it or you're done, buddy. This is game over. There was a lot at stake. So yeah, it was an interesting time. I look back on it and I go, the hell was I doing? If I had now known what I know, I'd have never done a deal like that. So yeah, there's lots to unpack there for sure.
And you did this with your wife, who you got married at 19,
Yeah,
so
correct.
almost
18
20
years,
years
man.
now.
Yeah, or
Yeah,
18
yeah, yeah,
years.
yeah. So going through this, purchasing a business, growing the business as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, is tough on relationships at the best of times, right?
100%.
So what was going through her mind, and what were you doing to make sure that you guys were staying aligned in the business? You said she was working in the business alongside you, it sounds like, for a long time, but has exited. throughout that time, you've also had 4 kids.
Absolutely.
That's a that's
It's nuts, man. It's
that's
absolutely
that's a
nuts.
lot. That sounds like it's a whirlwind of a story, man. Whirlwind of a journey. What was going through her mind when you guys were purchasing this, and you're talking about financial mistakes that you guys were making? What kind of a toll does that take on a husband and wife that are going through that together?
I think the biggest saving grace that I always look back on is we didn't know enough to make us nervous. So we didn't realize what we were actually getting ourselves into. Because if we actually knew what debt, if we knew what liabilities we had on our plate, I think we would have both just our hearts would have stopped beating. It was intense. I mean, we were. I think I don't know the exact figure right now, but it was definitely close to $2 million worth of debt by the age of 23 or 24. So,
Wow.
I mean, so we had a lot on our plate. I also did have a partner at the start of this, and we knew we had to get out of that partnership too. So there was a lot of stress there.
Yeah.
But then in all of this, I think if I could say what was the one thing that kept us together was we always seemed to have the ability to put everything aside and do specific things together. Like we'd find a thing that we really enjoyed doing together, and we'd do that. That would kind of keep everything, somewhat mentally stable because it wasn't mentally stable, but some, levelness in the relationship. Um, Having young kids was the best thing ever. People might think we're crazy, but having those young kids that were always doing something, always running around like maniacs and, causing this and causing that, also was a very big distraction for us as well. So I don't have the answer. I don't. It just worked. It just worked, and it worked out well, thankfully. So yeah, that's
Yeah,
kind of
I have a young daughter, and you talk about activities. She's just played her had her first soccer practice, and going out there and
amazing,
watching her like run around and kick the ball, and just it was absolute chaos, but it was so much fun watching her get out
amazing.
there and grow, and have another one on the way here pretty quickly. So
It's awesome, man.
yeah,
Keep it
yeah.
going. Keep it going.
Are you are you able to touch on your partnership a bit that you
Yes.
mentioned there? You mentioned
Yeah.
so you started the business, you had a partnership, and partnerships, whether they're romantic partnerships or business partnerships, when there's financial stress that's going on, or there's misalignment, there's often tension. And with business partners, the conversations are going to be different than if it's with a spouse. But what did the partnership look like? And when did you know when did you know that it was time to do something, and what was it that needed to be done? And I'm curious because there's a lot of people that I talk to that also have business partners. And if they don't have a really great relationship, it causes tension
Oh,
uh,
100%.
in a very, very, very cancerous way. That's not good it's not good for the soul. It's not good for the business. A lot of ways. I'd love to hear your story on that.
Absolutely. So my partnership was actually with my father-in-law, so my wife's dad. So there was
All right.
there was that
We
dynamic
go a
there too.
degree deeper now. All of a
Oh,
sudden, it's the
we're going.
family partner.
We're going.
Yeah.
So when get it when, back to the start of it, when we were getting into this, the number one mistake was there was no roles or responsibility assigned. There was no exit strategy assigned. There was nothing now that if I was to start a business with somebody, none of these steps were in place. And that was the biggest mistake. So when there was an issue comes up, how do we resolve this? How do we deal with it? How is this going to happen? Plus, the age difference too was huge, right? My tolerance for risk is huge,
Hmm.
right? I have nothing to lose. I have nothing, so I have nothing to lose. So I'm going to go full tilt. I'm going to work
In fact,
24/7.
you have $2 million in liabilities that you gotta
Yeah.
get tracking on, which makes that 40 to 60K in school sound like, yeah, it's not so bad. So just for the listeners, like that are kind of thinking that in their mind, they're like, I'd rather be 60 grand in debt and come out with some knowledge, go
For
into
sure.
business and be 2 million in debt.
For sure.
But we'll talk about that
For
hill.
sure. So and so I think that was a huge issue. So I'm looking at it. I'm going. I work 24/7 no matter what to get this thing done. Versus they're going. My 9 to 4 is I like this, and now I'll continue doing that kind of thing. So it carried on and it carried on, and then I just realized to my own self, I was like, if I'm ever going to continue or grow this thing, I have to remove my partner because I felt there was no appetite there for the
Mhm.
growth. So then going down that bunny trail, everyone has their own securities in place, everyone has their own liabilities in place, and just navigating how to remove that when there's no structure in place. There was no shotgun clause. There was no, you do this, you do that kind of role. So it was a mess, an absolute mess. Um, I say it's 50% my fault, 50% their fault. But realistically, it was 100% my fault because I got into it. So it was trying to navigate that area, which was very difficult, and especially a family dynamic because you just don't want to kick everyone to the curb at all and just say, peace out, all the best to you, I'm gone. Uh, we still have Christmas dinner together, right? So it was not nice. So I mean, from a partnership standpoint, I would never ever recommend getting into a partnership with a family member unless you have the proper structure in place and the exit strategy figured out first and foremost. Otherwise, don't even bother. It's not even worth it.
I think structure and very clear deliverables when you're working with family, those expectations and the like boundaries need to be rock
That,
solid.
yeah,
Yeah, I've seen
yeah.
really great family-owned businesses, and I have seen family-owned businesses that have been ripped apart, and they have
Yeah.
been turned very, very ugly
Hmm.
for that reason. And the ones that have gone really well, there was
Hmm.
alignment, there was structure, and there were boundaries. This is what we do. This is we separate work, but it's a tough thing to do, right? We
Hmm.
separate work from our personal lives, but because they're so intertwined and we spend so much time at work, at our job, at our business, whatever it is that we're running, especially if we're passionate about it, it is always on our mind. So it's a
Well,
quick.
and the crazy and had this dynamic too as well. Me and my wife homeschool our kids, so there was a dynamic in place there too where
Whoa.
we've been at the office at 11 o'clock at night, four young kids trying to get them to finish their math work and history work, and we're trying to get payroll done. Like it was nuts.
That's a bit of a psychotic laugh right there. I can see in
Ah,
your eyes like you're a psycho
oh man,
in the
you
best
know,
way. In the best way. I mean it
absolutely,
with all my
absolutely.
heart.
Absolutely. So
There's
I think one of these days I will sit down and write a book and go, what not to do in business. And you know what? I always said whenever people were talking, whenever I'm doing interviews like this, I really don't regret what we've done and what we've accomplished now sitting here. I would never ever recommend it to anybody because we didn't do anything right from a business standpoint. But what we did do is no matter what we worked our backsides off. We ground hard. We no matter what needed to be done, we got it done. I mean, my kids remember hotel trips because they were in a different hotel room 2 or 3 nights a week because dad was on the road. Get in the truck, let's go. We're going right. So all over Western Canada we were. So wherever I went, they came with us as best we could, just so we were together. We had a lot of fun. There's a lot of old pictures of being here, there, and everywhere, and doing little things and stuff. But we got the jobs done no matter what. So
your
it was a
kids
good
going
time.
to get into the business. Do you hope that they do, or you hoping that they Find
My one son's already trying to figure out how to buy 10% of my shares.
got it.
And I just love that conversation. I just love that. You know, so what are you thinking, kid? What? Oh, Dad, you know, I think I want to buy 10%. How much money do I get a month if I buy 10%? Well, wait a second.
Yeah, let's talk about this a minute.
Yeah. And then my youngest girl was like, Dad, I don't need to buy nothing. You're just going to give it to me. So, you know, it's just neat to have those little conversations, right? So I don't think anyone sparked any interest in doing this, but they've all been involved. They've been, you know, greasing equipment with Dad and cleaning equipment and trucks and doing deliveries in the delivery trucks, and they've earned their keep, those kids. So it's good. It's
If
good.
you were to describe a cocktail of traits that got you to the point where you are now, with like if I'm talking if it's going to be hard work, was that sort of just sheer grinding? Was it resourcefulness? Is it finding people that you mentioned a mentor earlier? That
100%.
what is that look like? Because it sounds like in the beginning it was just sheer brute force getting through a lot of this stuff that you didn't know. And you start picking stuff up, and you're learning. You mentioned, you know, if we were to do this business again, or if I was to buy another business, these are the things, the clauses that we would put in place. This is what we
Yeah,
do.
yeah.
We've learned a lot over the years, but it sounds like there's some, you know, some resiliency that's there. But what's that in everybody's cocktail for success is going to be different based on their situation. But how would you describe that for you?
I think one of my favorite quotes when it comes to that is having the ability to go from failure to failure to failure without any loss of enthusiasm. So, you know, have no fear. I mean, we all say work hard, work hard. That's easy to say, but really work hard. When you know that if I don't get up this morning, we ain't going to make payroll. If I don't do this, we are not going to get the jobs that we need to do. So just being able to go from, you know, one failure after another failure and not losing that drive to succeed. I think that's one of the biggest things I found I was able to do. Also the ability to communicate. I think there's when I got into this, I was extremely young. I had guys working for me that were seasoned veterans, you know, 50s, you know, late 50s, late 40s, and all of a sudden there's 22-year-olds telling them what to do. So it was trying to have that ability to communicate with people. This is what we're trying to accomplish. Are you with me? Are we able to do this? Same with negotiating with contracts with some of these. All of a sudden, I get my first $1 million contract. That's a big number. And I've never built anything that's $1 million. So now I'm trying to go, oh, what does this term mean? So just being able to, you know, have that ability to communicate, talk to people, ask questions, and then realistically, what that flowed into was the ability to surround myself with top-notch people, and that's when my mentors came in and going, "Hey, you're an amazing person. I'm struggling with this. Can you help me?" And I think that to me was the saving force. And we can get into that a bit more later on for sure. But having that mentor and those right people around you and in your circle that, you know, you can pick the phone up at 2 in the morning and go, I got a real big problem. What do I do? And then just being able to sit down with them or on the phone and just kind of lay it out. That was huge for me. That was huge.
How do you gain the respect of people that have been in the business 3 decades? You're senior, you're 22, you walk onto a job site, you're the new owner of the business. You can't just say, hey, respect me, I'm your boss. That doesn't fly. How do you gain
You,
how do you gain
I think you earn that respect and you do whatever it takes to get it done. Um, that would be my, you know, and your word is huge. If you say you're going to do something, do it. Don't just, you know, oh, don't worry, boys, I'll get that ready for you. And when you come in at 5 o'clock in the morning. If you're going to tell them you're going to get something ready for them, you darn well better make sure you get it ready. So I think that's just honoring your word, being a man of your word, being honest with them. And you know what? There was times where I just went, I actually don't know what to do, guys. What would you do in this situation? So yeah, stuff like that.
Yeah, it's a tough one. I've had
Yeah.
to deal with that. I mean, I started the company here when I was 23 years old. So making those first hires
Hmm.
of people that had more experience than you, right? People that have been in the industry longer than you, having even like you mentioned, selling that first $1 million project, but selling projects or selling your services and having the confidence that you are going to get that done for somebody if you've never done it before and handed a new opportunity and making sure that you're going to deliver on that.
Hmm.
It doesn't happen by accident or in
No,
very rare
no,
cases.
it doesn't. And actually, it's funny you asked that question. I've never thought about it. I honestly have never gone, what skill? You know what I mean? You don't even think about that kind of stuff. That term, fake it till you make it. There might be some truth to it. So yeah, it's a very interesting mindset.
You have an apprenticeship program you're working on, which I think
Yes.
is great. The pre-tender program, working with schools, trying to get kids excited about this, and knowing knowing that they have a place to go after they go through a program like this, having some sort of job certainty and a growth plan for their future, even if it's not their long-term plan, but even in the short term, it gives them something to be very excited about.
100%.
I think that is awesome. So where did that come from? Did you recognize that, man, there's just a shortage of people out there that are going to get interested, so we have to do
Yeah.
something and capture them really while they're young and train them up? Or where did the concept
So so
of
so
that
where
come from?
so this is an industry wide thing. So about 7 years ago, I got voted on as president for the Masonry Contractors Association. So basically, it's a board of 14 contractors, BC wide, um, and we represent the industry on a national level, right? Generally, and we collect funds through the industry through a levy program, and I would say that this levy fund has grown substantially. It's now BC wide, so we collect a levy off of all the materials, block brick, mortar, and some other stuff that's sold. And so about 3 or 4 years ago, we were like, we need to set up a bursary fund. And so we took some money out of our institute. We set a bursary fund up that if there's any um, young person who wants to go to school, we will fully fund their apprenticeship. No questions asked. You fill out the form, tell us blah 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 what you're doing, and we will pay for your full schooling. So there's no issues for them to say no. Secondly, of course, the location of the school is in the Lower Mainland. We're BC wide, so then we went one further and said, if you're traveling out of this certain area, we will also pay for your um, uh, live out allowances. So they would eliminate that cost. So what we tried to do is, as a board, is just eliminate the entry point to getting trained. And let me tell you, it has taken off like wildfire. It's just an amazing group of people to be involved with. We've hired full time. We can't keep up. We've hired full time guy now that travels BC, doing try a trowel at all the schools and the school districts, and so it's getting traction. And so that to us was huge. You know how that saying, "What are you going to do to give back?" I mean, I feel like this is our give back to the industry. It's incredible. It's gaining great traction, and it's so cool to see. So, um, as a company right now, we have about 4 apprentices registered in the program here in Kelowna, which is wonderful to see. So, and we fully support our apprentices and everything they do. So,
I think that's great that it's not one individual company, but
no,
collectively it is
it's
a
an industry.
it is an industry that's contributing as a whole to the future of tradespeople that all of you are going to need. So it really contributes to the funnel of qualified people that are going to come in and be able to continue to build and get very, very skilled in the trade in the future. I love that. I think that's
Yeah,
very cool. I don't think that there's anything like that in carpentry. I don't know if there's anything like, the electrical industry. This is sort of the first time that I've really heard of a collective levy that's put towards education as a whole in the industry. Very, very.
absolutely. And I think it comes back to when we were talking at the start of the show, the stigma of the tradespeople is it's got that old school mentality, gruff, and thankfully, they're not just competitors, but they're really good friends. I've got a couple real close buddies, similar age to me, and we're all on this board together. Some of them have taken over from parents. Some of them have brought into businesses. Some of them have come up through the ranks of the company and now have taken over the company. So we've got about five of us right now, late 30s, early 40s, that are really passionate about driving this apprenticeship program and training. And it just brings a lot of energy, just a lot of energy to it. And we get stuff done. Like it's pretty neat to see. So, yeah, it's really cool, exciting.
Are you seeing AI disrupting any part of what it is that you do in your industry at all whatsoever?
So I am extremely dyslexic. I am extremely illiterate when it comes to reading and writing. AI is my best friend. And to be honest, we're all looking at different avenues and ways right now that we can integrate AI to our trade. Um, you know, right now it's working phenomenal. I still think it's quite early stages for us as a brick and mortar, no pun intended, business. It's still very a physical, man hours, labor, intense install. But on the back end, we're finding like the paperwork side of things, the safety side of things, the submittals, shop drawings, all of that. AI is a wonderful tool for us. So we're learning daily because it changes daily for us. But I'm definitely utilizing it a lot. I see it a little bit more in the industry, and I only think it's going to be a positive for us. Yeah, well, it's interesting. Lots of stuff.
Yeah, we all thought that it was going to be, when we're talking about AI, and this is going back, 10, 15 years ago, that we were just going to see robots and they were going to be building stuff, and it was going to be our industry that was going to be the first thing that was taken over. And nobody thought,
Not a chance. Yeah.
I shouldn't say nobody, but there's, probably fewer people thought that it was going to be the creative stuff, the art
Yes.
type stuff, the music creation, that AI was going to take over and disrupt. But we're over here right now thinking, hey, this is a really great thing for our industry.
It is really good, and I'm excited to see how we can integrate and more into our companies. It's really neat. It's really neat to see.
What
So.
do the next 4 or 5 years look like for Josh and HS Masonry? Do you have any other companies that you're looking at purchasing?
So I won't lie, I'm always looking. That's just kind of who I am. I'm always looking at different things. I have another project I'm working with a mentor right now in the water business, um, bottled water, um, exports, all that kind of stuff, custom labels. Yeah, just little stuff like this, right? A little bit of HS masonry, bottled water, and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
yeah, so I dibble dabble in that. Um, I don't foresee myself exiting this anytime soon. Um, I see a lot of growth potential for our maintenance side. Jobs are getting a lot larger and more complex, so we're focusing on that kind of stuff because trying to enter into those kind of jobs is not someone can do. Someone's not just going to show up with a wheelbarrow and shovel and go, I'm going to go build that 46-story skyscraper. So we're kind of diversifying into different markets. Um, so that would be kind of our next 5 year kind of strategy.
When you're saying you're working across Western Canada and all over BC, this is the masonry company that's working
Correct.
all over
Yeah.
BC.
Correct. Yeah.
What are you putting in place to make sure that the projects that are not, just in your backyard or just down from from the shop are managed effectively?
We have so I have two phenomenal project managers, um, and between the three of us, I think we do a phenomenal job of managing our crews. Um, we are definitely light on some foremen right now, but from a management standpoint, between the three of us, we can do a pretty solid job of what needs to be done. Thankfully, right now, out of town work for us is almost non-existent. The Kelowna market has blown, and I think for the next 18 months solid, we're scheduled out, and it's all local work. We've got a couple of infrastructure projects, some big schools, some big rec centers, two towers, and some other water treatment plant stuff. So right now, keeping the thumb on the pulse on the in-town stuff is wonderful. But from an out-of-town perspective, we've always had a really good management team that we can send at least one out there and keep a good grasp on things. So we're quite blessed in that way.
When was the last time you played tennis?
It was last February because I had to go in for surgery in March. So yeah, last February, and I just applied. I just talked to my old tennis coach here about 2 weeks ago, and we're going to get back out and start going for it here in a couple of weeks. So I'm looking forward to it.
Really? All
Yeah,
right. So you're healing up all right.
yeah, we're getting there. We're getting there.
The car accident. Can we talk about that?
Let's talk about it. Let's do it.
You were 19, 18 when you got in the car accident?
Yeah, just 19. Yes.
Just
Yeah.
19. So just before
Days
just
old of
after.
19. Yeah, going to the bar for a drink, as they say.
You're hit at 19. You find yourself in let me rephrase this. What was going through your mind when you realized sports were over for you? Was it a doctor that had told you that? Or did you come to your own conclusions?
First, it was a doctor, and I apologize to any doctors who listen to this. I always call a doctor a practitioner, not a professional. I'm sorry, but when they told me I couldn't do something, it was probably the worst thing they could say to me. Because of course, right away, I'm going to prove you wrong. You don't tell me I can't do something, I'm going to go and do it. I tried to do it. I tried going back to how I used to work. I tried to go back to what I used to do. And the body just would not produce. And, and it was a very, let's call it a dark moment where it's like, this is a reality. I don't rotate like I used to rotate. I'm not able to lift like I used to lift. I roll out of bed in the morning. I have all of these pains that I never used to have. I knew what pain was when training, but wasn't pain training. This was like pain that hurt. And I think it didn't really kick in until I was about, I'd been married for a few years, probably about 24. And one day I was lifting something off the back of the flat deck, and my back just gave out. And I went, this is it. I'm actually pretty broken. So it wasn't an instant realization. Um, I never really thought about it in that kind of terms, but I always knew it wasn't going to work out. And I think that was hard. But I also look at it and goes, what I had learned from a very young age and how I had to perform and play and practice and train and do all of this stuff, I took that motion into my business and then did the same thing. I had to perform, I had to train, I had to practice, I nonstop. I had to make sacrifices. I couldn't go to these parties. I couldn't go do this because I had to work. I couldn't go out boating on the weekends with all my buddies because I had a company to run. So in one sense, yes, I could have looked at it a very negative and a very problematic mindset, but I think I was able to take what I had done in my sport achievements and focus and take that and turn it into my business focus. So yeah, that's kind of where I'd lean on that.
Yeah, and family wise, you had your first kid. How old were you when you had your first kid?
Oh, 20, 21 or 22.
So you
Yeah,
had
we
your
we were
first
young.
first kid at this point, fresh off the injury,
Yeah.
and you were just purchased
I just
this
so
nest.
we literally we brought the business in the November the 1st, and then Adana was born in January the 11th. So yeah, it's yeah, pretty pretty tight, pretty tight. So
How quickly do the first years in business move? And if you're talking to anybody that's interested in getting into a trade and starting their own business, for that first year, like there's lots of advice that you can give now that you're 15 plus years
100%. Yeah.
in business now. But if you're looking back and you take yourself back to that first year in business and knowing the understanding the transition that you were going through the fear that might have been in your mind of not being able to play sports anymore, taking on this brand new venture. Obviously, there's some excitement there. There's got to be some sense of nervousness and
Oh yeah.
fear. What would you
100%.
tell somebody that might have that same sinking feeling? They're looking at making a jump. They're maybe in a bit of a dark place themselves and they need some change and they're considering getting into business for themselves. What do you tell them to look out for in their first year of business?
I think you have to realize that uh, the failure you will face is not final. It is not going to be like this all the time. You're going to go through a season of struggles. You're going to go a season through when you have some wins, but it's going to be. I found it to be quite a long journey for myself because of the level that I was having to learn. I was constantly having to learn a new skill. I was constantly having to learn how to estimate. I was constantly having to learn how to, how we can cash flow it. Um, you know, contract law, employment law, all of this stuff was new. So my advice to these younger guys coming up right now would be, don't think that this is final. There is a light at the end of the tunnel. You will get there. It's just going to be a journey. And the journey some days will be, okay, I got a bit of an easy day here. I can take a breather. But there's going to be days where you're going to have to buckle down and put a 20-hour day in. Just as simple as that. And I think that is how an entrepreneur's life is. Everyone on this internet, everyone you see on the internet, and my 6 hour morning routine, blah blah blah, and I do this and I do that. That's a bunch of baloney, right? You got to put in the work, and when you're starting out, it takes hours, it takes time, it takes energy, it takes showing up, consistency, day after day, doing the work. But just to know that it won't always be like this. You will get there. So that would be kind of my brief, quick overview. And to back that up, if you're going through stuff like that, and there's a listener out there, first and foremost, I think we're in Team Elite together in our coaching program. And Dan, our coach, has always said, when you're doing this stuff with everybody in the podcast, always give something for free. So my free for someone right now would be, if you're going through something like this and you're listening to, call me, DM me. I'll talk to you on the phone. I'll answer your email. I'll answer your DM, and I'll spend some time. I'll share some things with you, and maybe I can help you out. And I'd be glad to give my time to anyone who's starting out or is thinking of starting out. No problem with that whatsoever. So
Amazing, amazing. So kind. I'm not going to give away your phone number here unless you send me the notes, and we'll put the show notes. On
Absolutely.
episode 100, people are going to listen back, and you're going to get, your 8,000 phone calls coming in. So we'll hold off on
Hopefully
that.
we'll have an AI by then.
That's right.
There we go.
Can anybody be a business owner?
Absolutely. I mean, I was just listening to something the other day. Someone else has done it, so why can't you? And I think that struck a chord with me. I think if you put your mind to anything, you can do it. I mean, sure, I think there's some skill sets that come with it. There's some character that comes with it. But I don't think that anyone can't do it. I think anything is possible if you put your mind to it. I really do. And I would never. I always love listening to these young kids. I'm gonna be a billionaire. I'm gonna do this. Yeah, you are. You can do that. It's the guys that laugh at you, the ones that aren't making it. To be quite honest with you, right? So, uh, yeah, I think if you put your mind to it, you can do anything, and it's all doable. You've got to put the time in.
Are you seeing a lot of women interested in the masonry trade? I see, we see a lot of women that are interested in the electrical trade,
Yeah.
millworking, painting, drywalling. They're on framing crews, and we're seeing lot more women interested in construction. Are you seeing that in the trade of stonemasonry?
So it's funny you should say that. Don't quote me exactly on it, but I believe last year at our Masonry AGM, we had at least two or three women on the apprenticeship program, which is phenomenal, right? I mean, we don't have big numbers either, so having at least two or three of them in the program is huge. Um, I actually think it's an extremely rewarding trade for a woman, especially from an artistic standpoint. So, some of these beautiful rock jobs and veneer jobs and stuff. I mean, just lots of them could use a woman's touch, if you know what I mean. It would be, right? So yeah, I think there's a huge potential for it, and we're very pro for it as well. 100%, 100% agree. I don't think this definitely would be a male dominated trade. You don't see many females in it, but the potential is 1,000%, and it's awesome to see these younger girls coming into the apprenticeship program. So it's awesome.
How do you grow a team, and how do you lead teams in your industry to come into work every single day and get excited about working with stone and lifting heavy stuff and doing an amazing job working with concrete, working with rebar? Like you said, it's really hard physical work, but they need to get up every single day. And you mentioned, key of not burning out, making sure that
Mhm.
you're excited about coming to work every single day. How do you keep that fire in your staff and really keep them motivated and excited from a leadership standpoint? Because I imagine there's times for sure where, man, lifting heavy stuff in the rain, in the cold, is not super appealing.
No, it's not. Um, I think that for me the biggest thing is first creating that A team and having those guys who are all pretty good buddies when it comes to a crew and all have the same common goals that they want to work hard, they want to work efficient, they want to work fast, and they don't just want to build buildings, they want to build the best buildings, they want to do the best job. So I think that would be the start of the foundation for it, is making sure you have those right guys. From my standpoint, I would say is make sure you provide them with the best tools and equipment possible to do their job. So we can alleviate the issues of heavy lifting, making sure you got the best forklift. We invest heavily in our self-climbing hydromobile scaffold. So it's a self-climbing mass system where it's an incredible thing. It's like big boy toys for, it's wonderful. Um, you know, consistently having opportunities for growth, consistently having apprenticeship, consistently having opportunities to do things industry wide. You know, going for coffees and having, donut days and stuff, having company golf days, just tiny things, but what mean a lot. And I mean, always compensation is huge. Compensation is huge, and providing great benefits too. So I think that I don't just see it as one item. I think it's as a large culture that you build that gives the ability to people to grow, to do their thing, and be proud of what they're doing. And that also comes back to what jobs we're going after. I mean, we want to go after the cool jobs.
Yeah.
We want to go after the jobs that, have the detailed bricks and the crazy archways and all of this kind of stuff, the big corbels and all that kind of stuff with it, and be able to have some fun with it. I think that's a huge deal too. So,
When I drive around with my wife and we drive by anything that we've built, or that I, even from that first job site that I was on straight out of high school at when I was 17, out of high school, anytime I drive by it, I always point out, like, yeah, I worked on that building. And anytime I drive by now, I don't even have to say it, and she says it to me. She
yeah,
says, "I know you worked on that building. You don't have to tell me again." But that's the type of thing, right? Because
absolutely,
you're so proud of it, and if
absolutely,
stonemason that's going to be driving by a big building that they did, you sure as hell know that they're going to be pointing that out and knowing that they played a part in that. Because yeah, that's why a lot of us got into the construction industry to begin with, is because we wanted to build cool stuff.
100%, hundred
And
percent,
you
yeah,
get into business because you take that passion of building cool stuff, and you want to build a really great company, a really cool company.
absolutely, 100%. No, it's loving what you do and being proud of what you've done, right? That would be, be something. It's so special to same thing. Drive by and go, hey, we did that, and we won an award for that one. It's awesome. So yeah, it's neat. It's very cool.
Awesome, man. Hey, where can people find you if they do want to get a hold of you? If there was that person that was struggling a little bit, they really needed some advice, they were looking for a mentor to reach out to, and wanted to connect with you, where are they going to find you?
So we've got our website there. It's got our email and stuff on it. hsmasonry.com. I'll send you the link and you can put it
Put me
in
in
the
the
post
shots.
for sure.
Yeah.
I'll give you my direct email as well, josh@hsmi.ca. Send me an email. We'll chat, and then I have our Instagram link at HS Masonry, and then I've got a personal brand that I'm building out for my own stuff on Instagram as well. And I can send you that link as well. So just send me a DM. Absolutely, no problems.
Amazing. Josh, you got to come back and do this again, because I know that there's a
Well,
lot
you know
more.
what? I think we should do it in person. That would be what I'm in Vancouver twice a month, so
Yeah.
we'll make it work, and I would definitely come down and do it in person.
Let's line it up. Let's get you
Yeah.
into the studio, because right now I know we had some
Oh,
recording issues,
like I
logging.
said, I'm not technically advanced.
That's all right. That's all right. We made it through. And Josh, thank you so much for
Thanks,
being
Brandon.
here.
No,
Congrats
appreciate your time.
on all your success. Really looking forward to doing this in person. And until next time, all you listeners out there that are still with us, have yourself a blessed day. Rock and roll.
Thanks so much.